Good day, comic fam. Comics of the Voice here, and this is the final episode of the special missions. So I've got issues number 21 to 28 here. Also, the Order of Battle and G.I. Joe versus the Transformers. So let's get into them. Stay tuned. Good day, comic fam. Comics of the Voice here, and we're going to go through the last of the special missions, the G.I. Joes. So this is issue number 21. You can see that it looks like these guys are in a tunnel. So this issue is called The Lower Depths. So we're in New York City. We got the Cobra team, and the Cobra team actually wins this one. It's actually pretty interesting. We got the G.I. Joe team. So on the G.I. Joe team, we got Airtight, Tunnel Rat, Charbroil, and he's got his little pet. It's a bobcat named Max, and then the Spearhead. And then Cobra, we got Xandar, Buzzer, Road Pig, and Zorana. So they're underneath the city. Cobra is what they're really doing is they're tapping into the phone lines so that they can have these telemarketers and these 18-wheeler rigs all over the country, making tons of money for Cobra. But what they do to keep the G.I. Joe team off of them is they look like they're planting nerve gas canisters all over the place. So the G.I. Joe team goes in and thinks that they're doing that. And then, of course, the Cobra makes sure that the G.I. Joe team wins and deactivates the gas canisters. But their real objective was getting after the telephone lines and tapping in, which they succeeded in, which was pretty cool. It's neat seeing a little bit of a twist where the Cobra team is the one that's actually winning in this one. All right, this one's issue 22, so I got a couple of these ones. So this goes into, I think it's the last 5 is when I was into my brother's collection. So this one here, the G.I. Joe team, we got Chuckles, Hit and Run, Lady J, Shockwave, and there's this FBI agent, Saxon. He's back in it. He's from Special Mission 17. And we got a hostage situation. These terrorists have taken a family hostage. The G.I. Joe team's got to go in. But it's funny because this guy right here, he's actually the dad of the family, but he's got this, I don't know if it's a disease or it's an injury or something that causes your face rictus. Makes his face grimacy and looks like he's a bad guy. So I thought it was a neat twist in this one to have, the terrorists were using him. They gave him a weapon that was empty and hoping that when the G.I. Joe team came in, they would actually just shoot him, thinking he was one of the bad guys. So, you go by face value and see this guy that's grimacing and he looks like a bad guy, but it's because his face is frozen that way and there's nothing you can do about it. So that was neat though. But as the G.I. Joe team went in, somebody, a family member or neighbor or somebody told the team that he had that. So they relayed the information. When they went in, they knew he wasn't the bad guy. And then there was a family photo in the living room that had a picture of him. So neat little story, cool little twist to it. That's issue 22. Now we're on to 23. And then this is the last one that I had bought. And I got my brother's collection for the final 5, which will be 24 to 28. So in 23, is this one? 23. Oh yeah, so we got the G.I. Joe team. This is actually the first appearance of a character called Scoop, and it wasn't on the Key Collector app. It's the guy who's doing the filming in this one. And we're got G.I. Joe team basically against the Iron Grenadiers. So we got Duke and Keelhaul. So Keelhaul's the admiral that runs the flag. So the team that went in for this mission is Stalker, Muskrat, Tunnel Rat, Hit and Run, and Leatherneck. And then they had Scoop. And that's what the title of the episode is. So basically Scoop's a green guy, and the team's going in to do, I don't know, something with the Iron Grenadiers. They're going to ambush them and take back one of their spies, something like that. And of course everything goes sideways and stuff, and they're basically showing the Scoop guy the ropes and also giving him a hard time as they're going through it too. But good issue. Again, like I said, that was the last one that I ever bought. So now we're on to the ones that from my brother's collection. So this one's issue 24. It's actually a key. It's the first appearance of Crystal Ball, who is a hypnotist. The guy looks like Doctor Strange when you look at the character. As soon as I saw him, I went, "This is Doctor Strange. What the hell's he doing in here?" So he's using like voodoo magic and stuff to screw up people's minds. And Cobra tries to kidnap the president at a baseball game in the U.S. And we got a huge G.I. Joe team here. We had Hawk, Falcon, Tunnel Rat, Zapdoc, Heavy Metal, Jinx, Cover Girl, Lady J, Scarlet, and then the Cobra side, we got the Cobra Commander, Raptor, Crystal Ball, the CGs, the Firefly, Zarana. So it was a action-packed issue with all the girls at the front being in like the cheerleaders. So they had Jinx, Lady J, Scarlet, and who was the other one? Cover Girl. All being cheerleaders, and they were like covert. So they were watching the president, and of course Cobra made a move for him, and they kidnapped him. And then they have a big battle. They had a dirigible airship comes flying in, and they took the president up in that, and then there's a big battle. It was actually a really good issue because I'd never read it before. And Crystal Ball came along and grabbed, was it Hawk? Yeah, and like hypnotized them and made them to try and get all the team to stand down, which was kind of cool. Interesting character. It's another one of those goofy characters that I think Larry Hama didn't like. All right, issue 25. So it's not a real pterodactyl. It's one in the museum in New York. It fell on the Jeep. So this one's called Forced Plat. I probably spelled that wrong. G.I. Joe team is Duke, Ripcord, Dusty, Lifeline, Alpine, Lightfoot, Jinx, and Recondo. So it's just simply the G.I. Joe is fighting a terrorist group, and they're driving all through frickin' New York, and they end up going through the museum, and the terrorists had shot down one of the pterodactyl exhibits, and it landed on their Jeep. So that's why they have that dramatic cover, and I was like, oh Christ, what are they doing, going back in time now? Then we got issue 26. Yeah, this one, you got the Grim Reaper on here, because this is where the October Guard, because remember in the original G.I. Joe series, I was telling you that a lot of the October Guard, they all got wasted or shot and killed, and this is the issue where they die. So in this one here, we've got the G.I. Joe team, which doesn't really do a lot, and they get captured in the end. Lieutenant Falcon, Recondo, and Shockwave. But on the October Guard, we got Shrag, who dies, Stormovic dies, Colonel Breakoff dies. Diana's the only one that escapes because Colonel orders her to get this El Jaffe guy we got this Syria Grando, this imaginary country that's been through the entire series that they've been battling back and forth, putting this petty dictator, that dictator. So the October Guard was going in to rescue one of the dictators to replace the one that Cobra had put in place. So there's like always a new dictator in there. And they all got killed. Horror Show gets killed. Dragonovsky gets killed. Yeah, and it was just horrible. And then they had the Iron Grenaders and some of the Cobra Voltar team in this one. So yeah, basically everybody in the October Guard except for one get killed. Diana. Yeah, and you can see her. She's actually there on that side. So all the ones here dead, and she escaped. So good issue. We're into 27. So this one's got Outback, Quick Kick, and Stalker. So they get sent down to Mexico. I think it's called Mexican Holiday. They get sent down to Mexico to deliver some kind of secret information. And then they were told that they could have some R&R. So, of course, never goes right. So Stalker is hanging out at the resort. Quick Kick and Outback decide to go on a bus tour. And then doesn't the bus get freaking attacked by terrorists? And then they got to figure out how to get out of the mess with these terrorists that are shooting at them. And they were wondering why they didn't just come down and kill everybody, because there was one kid on board who was dressed in like a military outfit, and he had a plastic Uzi. So they thought it was the real thing, so they were just shooting from an elevated position. So they had to take advantage of that and do their G.I. Joe-ness and escape. And then we've got this one here called Condor. This is the last issue of it. So we got the G.I. Joe team. It's a big team on this one too. We've got almost everybody. We got Hawk, Slipstream, Ace, Payload, Hardtop, Dial Tone, Admiral Keelhaul again, Wild Bill, Shipwreck, Lift Ticket, Scarlet, and another one, Dogfight. Then we got Cobra Commander, Darklawn, Televipers, Stratovipers, and Wild Weasel. So the Cobra basically attacks the G.I. Joe. They got a secret base in Syria Gordo, again that weird town, or that country. And at the end of this one, it's actually cool because the whole G.I. Joe team, after the whole Cobra and G.I. Joe battle it out, they got the space shuttle and all that stuff in this. The G.I. Joe team break the fourth wall in the very last panel, and they're all facing out and talking, saying this is the last issue, and you'll still be able to see the great G.I. Joe action in the main series. So that is all of the 28 issues. And then we got, these will be quick though, because I mean there's not a whole lot to this. Order of battle. So what's the order of battle? It's listing the entire G.I. Joe team. So I got 2 copies of that. Second issue, same thing. Also dealing with the G.I. Joe team. 2 issues of that. And then the issue 3, we go to the Cobras. And we do all their Cobra stuff. All the Cobra characters. And then the final issue is all the weapons. So the vehicles and the weapons that both sides uses, which I thought was cool. So that's a 4-issue limited series. Of course I got 2 because my brother's collection and mine. And then this one here, which was a big controversy, G.I. Joe versus the Transformers. So in this issue, it's the first time that they meet ever. And this one here, holy crap, it's got tons of stuff. So they got the G.I. Joe team: Hawk, Mutt, Junkyard, Scarlet, Roadblock, Beachhead, and Snake Eyes. And the Transformers, we've got Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Ratchet, and then there's Megatron, Dirge, Bombshell. Then they had the aerial bots in here too, which was Silverbolt, Skydive, Slingshot, Air Raid, and Fireflight, and they turn into Superion when they join together, like with like the Constructicons. And then the Cobra, we have the Dreadnoks, Torch, Buzzer, Ripper, Zorana, Cobra Commander, Zartan, and Dr. Mindbender. So just a packed. So basically the G.I. Joe team is putting together some kind of mission where they're going to put this thing up into space. And Optimus Prime sends Bumblebee to watch out to make sure that the Decepticons don't come, because there's some kind of power source these guys have that the Decepticons are going to want. And of course things don't go the way they're supposed to, because the Decepticons do show up. Dirge is one of the Insecticons. He infects some kid with a dart and makes him go do stuff, and Bumblebee sees and grabs him, transforms into his robot form, and the G.I. Joe team sees it and they're like, what the hell is this thing? Some kind of robot thing. Destroy it. So they blow him up, just like you see in the cover. And it carries on through the 4 issues where you get the Transformers and the G.I. Joe team, and they finally figure out that, you know, there's 2 different factions. You know, so the Cobra goes after, of course, Decepticons, and we got Shockwave there. It's going to blow up the whole world. And the Autobots hang out with the G.I. Joe team, and they work together to stop the Decepticons from destroying the world. Of course, Cobra Commander and them, and Serpentor, you got the Baroness, Dr. Mindbender. They're all trying to monopolize on it, the technology. So that is the entire G.I. Joe run from Marvel from the 80s. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and we'll move on to probably the Transformers next. So see you on the next one.